Hillary Clinton last week, towards the end of the week, it was Friday, had given a speech. I guess it was last Thursday, where she laid out a very strong proposal. I mean, and you saw the political efficacy of this when I was talking to that meathead who called in the other day, trying to explain to me that there is no protection for voting, and he knows this because he saw someone who was forced to use a provisional ballot. He obviously didn't know what the word provisional meant, which means that people get a chance to fill out a ballot, but it's provisional. In other words, it doesn't count unless after the fact they can prove that it had met certain conditions. Now, in his mind, it doesn't meet the condition of proving that that person is a citizen. However, to register to vote, you need to show proof of citizenship, a social security number, for instance. And, of course, it's conceivable that an illegal immigrant could come in and vote as someone who is a citizen, or an undocumented immigrant could come in and vote as a citizen. But that undocumented immigrant who is worried about maybe getting deported would have to be really confident that that citizen hadn't already voted. It's just not a recipe for wide-scale fraud. You got to come up with a slightly different plan. Well, Hillary Clinton called for every American to be automatically registered to vote when they turn 18 unless they choose not to be. She also supported a standard nationwide of at least 20 days of early voting. Now, of course, the Republicans are saying you can't do that because that would inhibit their plans to disenfranchise a huge number of voters. Now, of course, they can't say that. So this is what they say. I give you Chris Christie just getting, you got to feel bad for Chris Christie because literally this time last year, it was a year and a half. He thought he was really going to be president. And now he's just wondering, will he be voted like chief spokesperson on Cell Block C? So here he is on CBS's Face the Nation.
Governor, we got a lot to talk about. Let's start with the news. Hillary Clinton mentioned you and said you and other Republicans are trying to make it harder for people to vote. What's your reaction to that?
She doesn't know what she's talking about. In New Jersey, we have early voting that are available to people. I don't want to expand it and increase.
In New Jersey, they don't have early voting. They have absentee voting, which you can do early, but it is not early voting. They're two different things. Continue.
The opportunities for fraud. And maybe that's what Mrs. Clinton wants to do. I don't know. But the fact is that folks in New Jersey have plenty of an opportunity to vote. And maybe, if she took some questions some places and learned some things, maybe she wouldn't make such ridiculous statements.
She says it's fear-mongering, this idea that there's a lot of election fraud going on.
Yeah, well, she's never been to New Jersey, I guess.
So one wonders if Chris Christie has just basically said to the U.S. attorney in New Jersey, maybe you should check and see how I got elected to governor.
Trust me.
Trust me, there's no
about
fraud.
this stuff.
Don't make me prove it. Because I want to keep that in my back pocket because it's always important to have something to negotiate. Not saying I'm going to need to negotiate with law enforcement officers, but, what are you going to do?
You thought the traffic was bad. Well, how about whole-scale election fraud that moron Hillary Clinton doesn't even see? Stugats.
Chris Christie.
2 years ago, Mika
You know what we should do?
was practically offering to give me a back massage on national television. Joe Scarborough wanted to have a civil union with me, and we're not even into those things, and now look at everything. But yeah, Hillary's an idiot. Yeah, whatever. What's that? Is that my lawyer?
He's going to have,
Okay, thank God, no.
He'll land at some job. Although you can't help but just think of him as a waiter.
What?
As a waiter. Right? I just had this feeling of in 3 or 4 years, the guy is just, he's brought up on charges. He pleads no contest and blah, blah, blah. He's disbarred, so he can't work as a lawyer. And at one point, he's just working as a waiter.
Or like an insult comic at Koch brothers retreats, like corporate retreats.
That's
So
right.
How many disabled Mexicans does it take? That type of humor.
Exactly.